Hello, greetings. After having completed her BTech from the College of Engineering Trivandrum in 1995, Bindu Santha Philip joined Ashok Leyland as a senior development engineer, where she worked for 5 years in the areas of engine development, optimization of combustion engines, as well as design for Euro 1 emission norms. Bindu is currently Senior Director Technology, Autonomous Driving Functions at Robert Bosch Engineering and Business Solutions India, a role she moved to in January 2021. Based in Bangalore, Bindu is currently responsible for AI-based video perception, data engineering for autonomous and driver assistance. She leads a team that works on video perception, active learning, sophisticated data engineering tools and pipelines, AI-based advanced labeling methods, localization, and maps. She's also building up niche skill teams in artificial intelligence and machine learning for automated driving functions. Bindu has over 25 years of experience in product design and software engineering and development across multiple domains, including automotive, industrial, aerospace, and medical systems. Between Ashok Leyland and Bosch, Bindu has also worked with Honeywell Technology Solutions Lab and GE Medical. She is a passionate believer in people and mentoring and counts management, automotive, and advanced driver assistance systems as her top skills. Welcome to Mobility Outlook, Bindu. It's a pleasure to have you on our show, Women in Mobility.
Thank you very much.
About your growing up years, your school, college, give us a perspective on how you eventually sort of went into the College of Engineering Trivandrum.
Okay, so I was born in Africa. My parents were teachers there, and I was there till I was 12 years old. We wrote an exam that was called a London GC, where you can take the exam. It's like equivalent of a 10th, but you can take it at any age. So because my parents wanted to come back to India, I took it at the age of 12. Yeah, and I cleared my 10th, and I came to India. And at that time, we didn't have a system. I basically come from Kerala, and we didn't have a system in the PU that they are able to take someone who is just 12 years old, right?
All right.
So I sort of sat around for 3 years, till I turned 15, and then I joined PU.
Okay.
And I think in my mind, I always liked science, but you're still a teenager, so you know it's a lot of work. So that was the only negative side on it. But I really liked science, and I sat for the entrance, and I got into engineering. And I had options of different branches across the 5 government colleges in India, in Kerala. And I chose Trivandrum because I liked Trivandrum, and so I did my mechanical engineering there, and I guess it was a time where there were just 3 ladies in the whole batch. Yeah, so it was a batch of, if I remember, close to 200 people, and there were 3 ladies. Yeah, so yeah, so it was I enjoyed it. I liked it. I'm not so sure how much I learned during that period, but it was, I would say it was a lot of also learning to cope with a system that is maybe at that point of time skewed against you, you know. And interestingly, when we started, the campus recruitment started, many companies would say, okay, lady applicants need not apply. Yeah, so this was in the year 95. So yeah, so it's a little bit far away, I mean behind. And what happened with Ashok Leyland was that I think there were 3 companies that allowed us ladies to write. One was L&T, one was Godrej, and one was Ashok Leyland.
Okay.
Yeah. And what I loved about Ashok Leyland was that they said, see, we haven't done this before. We've never taken a lady GET. Yeah. So even if we do take you and you do clear the test. We don't know where you will fit in Ashok Leyland because it's generally for the factory floor, for
Right.
marketing, and for R&D. Yeah. And I had ticked mine as my request was, we wanted to be able to have a choice for all of it, right? So, um, short story, cleared it. They then said, okay, let's try you for the interview. They sent me the tickets. We traveled to Chennai, attended the interview, and I got through. Yeah. And all throughout, I could see the management looking at each other and saying, let's give it a shot, So I believe I was the first lady GT to join Ashok
Wow.
Leyland.
Wonderful, Bindu. I mean, it also tells a lot about the management that you spoke about, having the trust and the faith of taking that first step, right? So you were possibly at the right place at the right time.
I believe so.
And I'm sure, that sort of shaped a lot about how you developed as a professional, right? Working in such an environment, being the first lady to get into a large organization like Ashok Leyland. So tell us about that. How did it really shape your career?
Oh, I would say that Ashok Leyland was all about um, finding a space where you can learn, yeah,
Hmm.
and building a lot of self belief that you deserve to be there,
Mm.
and you are capable of handling whatever is thrown at you, yeah.
Right.
So that was on a more personal level. But
Mm-hmm.
in terms of professional development, I had two of the most fantastic mentors who were my bosses. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
One is C. Prakash, and he was leading the Euro 1 emissions team there, R&D.
Mm-hmm.
And the next other one was M. Nagarajan, who was the deputy manager in the same team.
Okay. Okay.
And both of them made sure I got as tough targets as the rest of the guys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And just a small anecdote. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some machining we had to do on a cylinder head, and I was designing that piece, and so I
Mm-hmm.
had to also get the machining done.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to go to the factory floor to get it done because our R&D lab couldn't drill and hone the hole the way it has to be.
Okay.
So I took it, I got it transferred there, and by that time you're sort of prepared, right? So you reach there 8 a.m. I am there at the factory floor, and there is this machinist who says, "Oh dear, just come again." Okay, so and 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 it is like who gives up first, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I go prepared. I have books to read. I sit through the entire day in the shop floor. He ignores me. I ignore him. I just told him, in Tamil, just help me with this. And he said, I will get to you. I'll get to you. And then 5 minutes before the factory horn goes off, it used to shut down at 4. He just takes it, does it, and sends me home.
Okay.
Okay, sends me back. So, so it was also they very interesting that that's how you gain a lot of
Right.
acceptance.
Right.
It's just you don't give up, right?
Right.
And so
Absolutely.
then the next time you go, they just do it and send you because they know you won't give up. So it's just a story like that.
Clearly shows how determined you were as you were sort of starting off your professional journey, Bindu. But you did mechanical, be engineering in mechanical, joined Ashok Leyland, worked in engine development, then moved to GE Medical Systems, right?
Mhm.
Then went on to Honeywell, right? Across different domains you worked, and today you're mostly working in the software domain, right?
Yep.
So talk to us about this whole journey.
Yeah. And so I think that at every phase you go through, there is a distinct flavor to that.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, Ashok Leyland was a lot of mentoring, a lot of you get taken care of, right? You
Mm-hmm.
learn as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to GE Medical, it there the application is the God, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
healthcare,
Mm-hmm.
and your product has to service that God. And so there is no excuse. It's a no excuse atmosphere, environment,
Right.
because finally the patient has to be treated well, right?
Hmm.
So we used to build C-arms, and we design. I used to be part of the team that designs that, and so there the confluence between system application side, software, electrical. So it was high voltage electrical also, and then mechanical. So this whole thing coming together, it sort of made up this product. And then you had the medical experts that we used to hire, who used to make sure that finally this whole thing works together.
Right.
So you get to see a system,
Hmm.
and you get to respect the contributions of the different teams that or
Right.
sciences that come together.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I left there as leading the mechanical system team, basically in terms of the entire system design, etc. And went to Honeywell, and till then I was an individual contributor. And when I joined Honeywell, that is when I discovered my real love,
Okay.
yeah, which was as a people manager,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So I am what you call a techno manager. I love technology,
Right.
but I have a very strong belief in people.
Mm-hmm.
And I do believe that in a space that is as hard right now as in ADAS, in the software world, uh,
Mm-hmm.
you either make or break by the people you get or you hire.
Right.
Yeah, in a technology space where a lot of things are evolving, it's the people who make the difference.
Sure.
And every day that gets reiterated to me again and again. And I
Right.
find that if I have hired right, or I have mentored right, or I have enabled or empowered correctly,
Mm.
my team never ceases to surprise me.
Mm. 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 Mm.
Yeah. So I think that bringing software and building up software systems, yeah,
Mm. Mm.
that are scalable and part of a larger ecosystem. That
Sure.
is where we are now concentrating on,
Right.
yeah, as a business. And the, um, I think that a lot of the industry is trying
Mm.
to figure this out.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
Yeah, this the whole thing of car as part of a connected system.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah. So it's not necessarily only doing
Mm.
transportation or
Mm.
getting you there safely, but it's
Mm.
also a means of monetizing services,
Mm.
right? Where the driver is just part of the chain,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And the car is the one that's communicating, downloading, delivering a lot of a lot
Absolutely.
of service requests. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very interesting, Bindu. I mean, I'd also go back to your tenure at GE Medical, where you were granted quite a few patents. Talk to us about that.
Okay. So we had to build this C-arm, which was meant for the India market or
Mm-hmm.
the hospitals, and we had to meet the same performance with the same safety standards, but uh, it was like go find out how to do it. You can choose the material, you can choose the design, and so we came up with a couple of innovative methods to how we handle that kind of heavy duty functionality
Okay.
with a maybe a cleverer approach to the design. And so again, this was on this machine called a Siam, and then you have to, it's not only you patent it, but that patent has to be in the product, and the product has to survive the FDA requirements, right? So we went through the whole thing, and it's one of the patents that I rarely talk about, but of which I'm quite proud of.
So, patents, I'm sure, those are, some of those shining bright stars in your professional journey, Bindu. But when you look at your journey over the last quarter of a century, what are some of those achievements that you feel really very proud of?
Oh, okay. I think I'm very happy with the number of products that my team, along with me, have released to the market
Mm-hmm.
across all the companies I have worked for, and especially with uh, the kind of um, contributions that and watch that the team has done. I'm watching them get empowered, watching them really step into their roles, yeah, and be fearless about it,
Right.
right? So I'm very, very grateful to be surrounded by extremely smart people. uh, I always I go by one thing mainly, that I always hire people smarter than me,
Uh-huh.
yeah, because then it makes my life very easy, yeah. But more than that, yeah, you actually would pick up challenges that are just incredibly difficult, and watch the team just come together uh, with a high level of autonomy and deliver on it, yeah.
Right.
So I'm not saying that the manager sits back and just watches it, because you need to know the technology, you need to know what questions to ask, what to bring together, yeah, what is the framework of the system you're designing, what are the components that contribute to it, or fit into that framework. So you are also rooted in technology, right?
Right.
But what you can do then is trust your team to deliver on the details,
Mm, mm, mm.
right? And that's where I feel I have been very, very fortunate and blessed to be
Okay.
surrounded by extremely brilliant people,
Sure.
and who have just met challenge after challenge and surprised a lot of our stakeholders by what we do.
Mm, mm. Right. Bindu, I'd also like to ask you about, as a woman, as a woman getting into this sector, you give us your story about how you started off at Ashok Leyland and your journey. How have you seen things really change for women currently in, let's say, the mobility industry or in the industry in general?
Okay. Um, so just to give you a context of my area, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
um, I have a lot of women managers. So
Mm-hmm.
of the four, um, of the five department heads I have, two are
Mm-hmm.
women.
Okay.
Yeah, they report to me,
Mm-hmm.
and my boss is a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so and then below that we have a lot of ladies. So what we are a cool 30 to 40% women leadership in our area. Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah, and where I see that I think that the industry has grown to this place where, especially with the COVID situation and all, where we have learned to become flexible.
Mm-hmm.
That was very good for us from that point of view, because we
Sure.
were a bit rigid, right? I
Mm-hmm.
would like to see people around, because there's a feeling that, yeah, you're around, you contribute much more. But I think that giving this flexibility of, um, when you have to do your own work, you have your task clear, you go back, you and work from home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus you are able to come together to brainstorm and to actually design what that product should look like, or subsystem component should look like. Then you
Right.
come back together. So give that flexibility to the team, and inevitably they figure it out. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So for women, I would say it's a fantastic time to come over
Mm-hmm.
in mobility. We are always looking for great women leaders. Yeah.
Okay.
For aspirational, who are at least wanting a career, right?
Mm.
And what, like I say, it takes a village. I always think it takes a village, right? To grow a child, or in this case to design something. And it takes all types of skills and personalities to build this. And
Right.
if I have a lady associate who employee who wants to stay a coder all her life, there is actually
Mm.
space for her.
Mm. Mm.
She's not going to be pushed to become a manager, and if you unless unless you do that, your value goes down. It isn't that space. It's a very
Right.
technology oriented space, and we
Mm.
value coding skills.
Mm.
Yeah. Similarly, there's one who wants to be a manager.
Mm.
Then you only give her the tools by which she learns the technology and contribute back to the team. But
Mm.
then her strength could be just how to hold a team together,
Right.
especially when it's very tough, when the targets are very tough.
Mm.
So I
Mm.
would say that technical skills, yeah, it is the right space because it's software, and that's something that I have not seen a disparity in.
Okay. Okay.
Right? I just think that we need to encourage more of them to just do it.
Sure, sure. And also the fact that, Bosch as an organization has been pioneer as far as diversity, equity, inclusion is concerned, right? So maybe that is one of the reasons why it has been a far lot easier for you. Would you say that?
I would say I have never even, maybe that's also a disadvantage to one sense, but I've not felt a difference,
Right.
right? I have felt a lot of focus
Mm-hmm.
and enablement,
Mm-hmm.
but never a feeling that, okay, you are a minority, or,
Sure.
or anything that's negative in context.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I do believe that women do need additional support.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I have cases where or incidents where somebody is going through a tough time at home, and we say it's fine, you take a sabbatical, or you can take a paid leave, whatever it is you
Mm-hmm.
feel, depending on the time. But come back, please come
Mm-hmm.
back, right? And that's something that across BGSW and in Bosch, we make sure that that's possible. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a lot of the reason why a lot of people love this company, is because
Sure.
of this flexibility.
Sure. Bindu, I mean, let's talk about the current mobility ecosystem, right?
Hmm.
And you are at absolute the forefront of what's going to lead the future of mobility. We're talking of ADAS, we're talking of autonomous driving in the future. Give us a sense of the kind of work and kind of vision that you have for mobility for this particular sector in the times to come.
Okay, that's a, a very big question. Um, just to paint a little bit around that question, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are we looking at? Yeah, there is this shift in power play, or a shift in balance of the powers that be, right?
Right.
There was these established players, tier ones, we call them,
Mm-hmm.
or OEMs themselves, right? And then we
Mm-hmm.
used to have the smaller players once in a while get a project, whatever it is. But what we have noticed right now is that the kind of partnerships that are getting formed, right? Nobody really wants to go it through this journey alone, right? Both in
Mm-hmm.
terms of investment, in terms of competencies, in terms of what approaches to take, and how will you deploy this, right?
Sure.
A lot has to be in how is your data collecting mechanisms. So these are all very expensive things to do if you go alone. So two
Mm-hmm.
things that have happened is people have started uh, picking up already formed, let's say, products from startups, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or we say extension of influence. An SoC manufacturer decides to build the stack upwards of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
He could choose to build the application software stack and say, see, if you're buying my SoC, you buy the whole thing also,
Okay.
right? And this is very, very attractive to some of those who don't really want to invest a
Mm.
lot, yeah, and take that risk. Second piece is that the OEMs themselves wanting to have a piece of this software defined vehicle,
Right.
right? And say that, okay, we know that this is the differentiator and we need to have that in our kitty. We
Mm.
will work with you, right? But we
Mm.
keep these pieces, these key pieces. So the
Okay.
dynamic is changing completely. It's already
Mm.
changed. You can see it in the news all the time,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
M&As seem to be part now, the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nobody really wants to do a full grounds up development.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the background we are in. And to find our USP
Mm.
among all of this is my challenge,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
What do we bring to this that makes it very just a sensible and logical decision to say, okay, let's go with this team.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's not only players outside, it's players within,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how do you differentiate your team, and what uh, for example, my team can bring to this whole thing is that's my job.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah? So just a background that what we used to consider
Mm.
as our proprietary, yeah,
Mm.
we give you the whole system,
Mm.
versus now people saying, no, I have a confluence of vendors and I
Mm.
need you to be able to make your software, yeah, with software abstraction, the interoperability between different systems, right, and different suppliers. It is become part and parcel right now.
Right. Right. Very interesting. Very interesting, Bindu. At the end, I would also like to ask you, what would be your message to young women or young girls pursuing engineering or other education? What would be your message for them as they want to step into this mobility sector?
I would first of all say that find a space that you love within this. Whatever is the functionality, choose it. Yeah. Don't be so fast to converge. If you are new into the business, learn as much as you can. But over a period of time, you get to feel what you are really good at, yeah, and what you love, and then do that. There is always space, because we have need of all these kind of people. Yeah. So I would say, if you are much further down in your career, you already know, then play it big. Play it big, go for the hard challenges, pick up things that people think are too difficult, and build a team that would actually deliver on it. So it depends on where you are in your career. But be focused that this is a place that has got all sorts of opportunities for women. And it is a software space, also very highly software oriented. And so there is that flexibility that comes in with the job.
Right, right. Thank you so much for speaking to Mobility Outlook, Bindu. Truly appreciate you taking time to speak to us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.